All right, Chris Appleton is with us. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, once again. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How's with you? How's Manchester
Yeah,
doing?
great. Yeah, it's good. It's getting colder here in Manchester. But yeah, I'm doing great.
Coming over, I guess.
We're coming back to
In a few
Greece. We're
days.
coming, we're following the warm weather.
You're coming over to Greece, playing on Saturday and Sunday
Yeah,
with
well,
Blaze.
we've got 8th of November in Athens on Friday, then Thessaloniki on the Saturday on the 9th of November, and then we're going back to Bulgaria also on the 10th of
Sofia, yes.
November. Which is going to be really cool. We've not been to Bulgaria for about 10 years or something, so that's going to be really cool. So we're really excited about it.
You are currently supporting your latest single and video,
Yeah,
Thrill of a Chase.
yeah.
And does that mean that we're gonna receive the new Absolva album pretty soon? Because the last one was in 2022 as well.
I don't know. It's been too long. Yeah, we're kind of doing things a little bit differently this time. So we thought because it's 2 years since we last released an album, but we want to be doing a new album very soon. But this year has been so busy with the shows. We literally haven't had like 2 or 3 weeks where we can get into the studio to record, 10, 11, 12 songs for the album. It's been, we've done something like over 100 shows this year,
Mhm.
to 2024. So we said, right, well, we need something new for the fans. So we said, let's just do one song. Let's do a nice, snappy single. And then we've already got all the material. We already have all the songs for the album. We just
Mhm.
need to record it. So we thought Thrill of the Chase is going to be a really cool song for a single and a music video, and a little bit different for what we normally do as well. So it's got kind of an AC/DC kind of vibe, and we had a bit of fun with the video. Nothing too serious with the video. So yeah, it's really cool, and the response so far has been fantastic from the fans. So we just need some time to record the rest of the songs.
Are you going to find anytime soon in 2025 to release the album?
Absolutely, yeah. We're planning on maybe doing another song before the end of the year as a
Mhm.
single,
Mhm.
and then we've got quite a lot of time off in December and January, finally, so we can find time to get in the studio and record the rest of the album.
Regarding the this tour with Blaze, you guys with Absolva, you have the album, six albums so far,
Yeah.
which is an amazing number. Just 10 years, 11 years, which is very productive. And you are currently looking forward to recording the seventh album.
Yeah.
Plus, you have learned all these songs to play alongside Blaze. So
Yes.
it's having fun with your own material and then having some more fun with Iron Maiden material and Blaze.
Yeah. I mean, originally, this kind of thing where it's Absolver and Blaze Bayley on the same evening,
Mhm.
we never really wanted to do that. We kind of like to keep it separate, keep the energy separate, and keep our heads focused. We only really started doing it when it was coming back after the pandemic, and a lot of promoters and a lot of shows, that we had to keep rebooking, and there was another lockdown, rebook again, another lockdown. So a lot of the shows and the promoters said, "Hey guys, rather than keep finding two shows, one for an Absolver tour, one for a Blaze tour, why don't you just come together? You can have the whole
Right.
stage to yourself, all the backstage to yourself, and everything." So that was the original idea. But then as soon as we started doing it, the fans were going crazy. They said,
Mhm.
"Oh, we love Blaze, we love Absolver, and we get 3 hours every night of good." of good music, and so we carried on doing it, and we've done a lot of shows this year. So next year we're not going to do it as much. We're kind of going to separate it again. Again, we want to be looking at doing longer shows with Blaze. Blaze wants to start playing 2-hour sets every night, and there's a lot of people say we want to see an Absolva headline show as well. So we don't want to just see 45 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour before Blaze. We want to see, the full Absolva headline. So it's been fantastic for the past couple of years, and we're going to do it again in Greece. But next year we're going to kind of separate it again a little bit, and it also gives chance for other support bands to come in. To be with Blaze, and I've been very passionate about support bands, because of course I was the support band for many years. Before I was the guitarist for Blaze Bayley, I was in FuryUK, and we were the support band for Blaze, and he treated us very well. And so we want to give young bands, opportunities. So we don't want to just be, right, this is the way we do it, and we never look outside our box. So it's another thing that I'm very passionate about. And there's a lot of horrible stuff in the music industry where bands have to pay so much money to get on a tour with a bigger band, and for us that's just not cool. So we never ask bands to pay money to support us. That's just something against my I don't know, dignity and pride.
Spoken like a true musician. Chris, you mentioned the magic words, FuryUK.
Yes.
Being one of the people who have seen and enjoyed FuryUK on stage, there's always a question. When are you going to put them, get them off the freezer and serve them to your fans?
It's strange, whenever we talk about it to, FuryUK fans who were there when that band was still touring. Some people kind of saw it as we changed our name from FuryUK to Absolva. But I say to them, it's two completely separate bands, I know.
Absolutely.
3 of the musicians are in Absolva that were in FuryUK, but we restarted when Luke got that job for Iced Earth. I didn't want to kind of replace Luke as the bass player and kind of carry on. I wanted to create something brand new, and at first I wasn't really interested in like doing any other shows with FuryUK. I just wanted to put it on the back burner. But as time's gone on, and people still appreciate those albums that we did with FuryUK, so I'm not against. Every time we have a couple of beers with Martin, and Martin's always going, you know what, it'd be fun just to do 6 shows or something. And his words were, this is Martin's idea. He says, let's do 1 in Manchester. He says, just do 1 UK show, 1 in Belgium, where we had a great fan base. And he says, and let's do 1 in Athens.
Sounds like a great idea, if you ask me.
Yeah. And then he says, another 3 shows somewhere else in Europe, where, maybe 1 in France or whatever. And then he says, and that's it, just make it a nice, cool thing. We're all different musicians. I'm a much better singer now than I was back then. We've all learned so much from Luke being in Iced Earth, me with Blaze Bayley and everything. We've all got a lot of experience behind us. So to go back to those songs, it would be pretty cool. So we're not against the idea now.
Well, these 3 shows are intriguing, I'll have to say. And I think that you maybe should consider adding a show in Prastatin, because that's where we saw you for the very first time.
Yeah.
Hard Rock Hell. And said, what the hell is this? This is FuryUK, you poor Mediterranean bastard. Yeah. something like that. Chris, you are always busy in studio recording and making music, and I was wondering if you're having the same fun you have in the studio as when you are performing live.
Yeah, I think, on the last, let me get this right, the last two studio albums and the live albums and the last two Blaze studio albums and the live albums, that's when I kind of took over 100% with the recording and the production. And most of it happens in this tiny little room that I'm sat in right now. And we've got no big budget. We don't have, $1 million studio equipment. It's all very basic. And to be honest, since I started doing that, and we would, mainly we were saving a lot of money, and especially with the music industry, which constantly changes. When you set an album up for pre-order, if you've spent, £5,000, £10,000 to record an album, that's a lot of CDs and a lot of vinyl you have to sell before you break even. But since I started recording it, and recording the material and doing my own production, I've actually been enjoying in the studio a lot more than I used to. And I used to like going to recording studios, but I always used to dread it. Everything was on a deadline. You had to make sure you finished all your vocals in 3 days or something. And that's one of the things that I enjoy most. I can really take my time with the vocals. So if I feel like singing 2 songs in one day, but then the next day, I feel like I've pushed too hard, no problem. I'll do some guitar solos for the rest of the week, and I'll do some vocals, the week after. So I feel like I've got more out of my voice, which is enjoy. You want to do your best work when you're in the studio. So when you enjoy it, when you're in the studio, it's a hell of a lot easier than feeling like you're under this pressure, because time is money when you're in a big recording studio. So that's definitely changed with time. So I definitely enjoy the studio a lot more than I used to. I mean, playing live is the thrill. But I definitely get a lot more enjoyment out of the songwriting and production process now.
Chris, you're an English musician, and naturally you felt a bit more inside when you heard the news about Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say a dumb question like how did you feel, but what happened when you heard the news? What happened to you inside?
Yeah, well, it's a very sad time for the metal community, and obviously I've met Paul a couple of times, when we were touring with Absolva, believe it or not, and I never actually met Paul when I was with Blaze, doing a show. But of course, Blaze has, toured with Paul all over Europe, and he did a massive tour in Russia and South America. So he spent a lot of time with Paul. So we constantly share stories with Blaze, and it's very upsetting, because if you see that Bruce Dickinson kind of made Iron Maiden this global thing that it is today, and then of course, because I'm kind of connected into this Iron Maiden family because I'm playing with Blaze, and Blaze is probably more respected now than he was 20 years ago, for his albums and contributions to the X Factor and Virtual 11. So if you kind of take that and then you rewind to those first 2 albums with Paul's kind of like the foundation of where Iron Maiden, you know, projected itself to. So those first two albums, you know, they're kind of like the golden nuggets, really, in the heavy metal world. You know, they will always stand the test of time, and everybody will always go back to those albums because it was before Number of the Beast, it was before the X Factor, it was before Brave New World. So, and you know, those songs that Paul sang on, they were being sung in pubs, you know, and small clubs across, you know, the south of England, and when they first went over to Europe, you know, and I don't know if you've ever been to the Cart and Horses in London, and you know, we did a gig there, but of course we've got a room that was a refurbished room. So we go into the room that Maiden played with, you know, back then, and Paul's played there since as well. It's small, but those were the type of gigs. So if you can imagine seeing Paul Di'Anno singing with Iron Maiden in a pub with about 100 people, you know, I can only imagine what the kind of atmosphere would be like in a situation like that. So that's all the history that is tied with Paul Di'Anno. You know, he's certainly got a legendary status, and it was very upsetting because we only just saw Paul at Stone Dead Festival in United Kingdom in Newark. That was only the end of August, you know, and he was performing live. And I remember Luke was there, and he said, "All right, he was in a wheelchair. He was saying he was having problems with his health, but he was singing really, really good. You know, there was no problems with you know, being on stage and singing. So it's quite upsetting that that kind of hits you. Got, oh God, he was only singing on stage, you know, 2 or 3 months ago in touring and everything. So it's sad. He'll be missed, and yeah, he's part of the legacy.
Thank you, Chris. And I was always wondering about that. When Luke came back and you played together, how
Yeah.
does it feel to share the stage with your brother?
Yeah, well, we want to kill each other sometimes, but but that's just kind of
It will
brothers.
stay between us, this one.
Yeah, but sometimes that's the magic, you know, because you know we often say that it's like if you look at all the great songwriting partnerships in history, um, it's never a case that those two people get on like a house on fire and say, oh yes, what do you think? Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, fantastic. Oh yeah, lovely, lovely. They're always, you have to have some bite, you know, you have to, because that means that you both care so much about the song and about the band that you can have this passion, you know. So you look at Lennon and McCartney, you look at, you know, Steve Tyler, and you know, you look at all these other partnerships in, you know, AC/DC, Aerosmith, and everything. You had this partnership, and you had always had two people creating a song and joining in. But it was never an easy road because you had to have those arguments to get the best possible thing. Otherwise, I think if everything's just easy and plain sailing, things can be a bit mediocre, you know. You know, and same goes when I'm in the studio with Blaze. We've had some horrendous arguments, you know, and you know, Blaze has, you know, walked out the room and gone to visit his neighbours next door. And I said, oh, forget it then. I'm going to the pub, you know. And then we come back in the morning, everything's calmed down. I said, right, I think the way we need to do this is move the verse here and then the solo comes. He says, you know what? I was thinking exactly the same thing yesterday. He says, yeah. And then all of a sudden, you've got this great song. So
Creative
with
tension.
Luke, yeah, it's what's best for the song, what's best for the band. and it's all professional. You know, it sounds like it's not professional, but it is. You know, you want to fight for what's really good, and when for me and Luke, that's always been the case. You know, some I remember once Luke said he brought a song to the studio, and he says, "I think I've got a great song for Absolva." He says, "What do you think of this?" And I sit there, listen to it, and I said, "Yeah, that's a great first half of the song." And he goes, "What?" And it says, "Yeah." It says, "We need to add more." It says, "It's going to go here and then it's going to lift." I says, "Oh, I don't think you're right." And I says, "Trust me, wait until you hear this." And then I added, and he goes, "You're absolutely right." And then you end up with "What Does God Know" from Fire in the Sky. And then we all look at each other, and well, that's it. If we could have just settled for the first version and recorded it, and it would have been a nice song, but you don't get the most out of it. So with Luke, I love him dearly. He's my younger brother. He's, you know, played some stages between the age of 14 and 17 that I probably won't play in my life. You know, he's played the biggest stages in the world. He was depping for Blaze Bayley on bass at age 14, 15. He got the job with no audition for Iced Earth when he was 17, you know, and his achievements have been absolutely remarkable. And he's one of the best musicians out there, you know, and fantastic songwriter. So that's my secret weapon is my brother, but I don't tell anybody because he'll probably want more cash.
We'll keep it a secret, you know, we'll do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Chris, I got one more question before I leave you alone to continue with your work. And before I do that, I want to thank you for your time. And I want to thank you for doing this. And I wish
Well,
you
thank
nothing
you
but the
very much.
best. Looking forward to seeing you once again in Greece, killing the stage with Blaze and the boys. Would you say that you are a dedicated musician and that heavy metal, rock and roll, heavy rock is something that you wouldn't betray in inverted commas by playing something else, that you wouldn't picture yourself doing something else, jazz or salsa or
No,
something else?
the only kind of genre that I'm very passionate about, and it's still kind of like rock anyway, you know, is I'm a huge Gary Moore fan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the only possible thing that I've ever considered doing is something when I've thought about doing something completely different to heavy metal and Absolver and Blaze was going out as a three piece and recording a kind of a heavy blues album, and in the vein of Still Got the Blues, Gary Moore, or his Blues for Greenie album, Peter Green. And but you know, you listen to Gary Moore playing the blues. It's, you know, it's not like you sat listening to BB King. You know, it's you've got a lot of fiery heavy metal guitar, you know, behind this 12-bar blues kind of thing. That's so. It would be really good fun if, you know, maybe when I'm, you know, reaching 70 years old and or maybe younger, I don't know, if that's the only thing I'd consider. And I think Zach Wilde stole my idea as well, because I had this idea that I'd maybe Martin and Luke, or maybe two other musicians, if they were interested, I was gonna do a 21st century Jimi Hendrix show. Just again, just like 6 shows or something, but it's, you know, it's music where, of course, back in the 60s, you'd never have the technology that we have now. Um, but I often wonder, I wonder how big Jimi Hendrix pedalboard would be if he was alive today. I wonder what Jimi Hendrix would be playing if he was alive today, and how would he play Purple Haze, and how would he play Hey Joe and All on the Watchtower and all these classic songs with the modern equipment and the modern sound and lights, everything. That was another thing. But Zach Wilde stole my idea. I think he's already done it. So, but yeah, I'm definitely. I'd never betray this genre of music, because if you think of it, Gary Moore, heavy blues, hard rock, rock and roll, AC/DC, and then obviously we've got Iron Maiden and Saxon, Judas Priest. That's all kind of my thing, and it always has been. And I don't really listen to any other kind of music, I won't sit and listen to Painkiller 20 times on my days off. I might stick a Gary Moore album on, or I might put some Bad Company on, or old school rock. And then if I've got a little bit of a house party, AC/DC goes on, Motley Crue goes on, the party music happens. And Alice Cooper, I went to see Alice Cooper last week, 2 weeks ago in Manchester, and he was probably the best I've ever seen him. And what a set list. And he's probably a guy where you look at him and go, this guy's in his 70s, and he's still getting on that stage and delivering a high quality show. He's not, somebody who's gonna, lay down easy. So yeah, I don't think I would betray the genre. That's the answer to the question.
Looking forward to the three-piece bluesy thing. And
yeah,
I'm sure this is a hint for next year or the year after that.
Yeah, I'm not going to wait until I'm 60.
Thank you so much, Chris.
All right, thank you very much.
See you in Athens.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Greece, mate.
All the best. Thank you.
Cheers.